Hello everyone, welcome back again. My name is Jesse, and in this wonderful tutorial we'll be trying to see how to build a very nice app using Streamlit and then pandas, right? So we'll be trying to build something very simple called programming languages trend app, just like something similar to like Google Trends. So you can select from here, you can actually select a particular language. So you can choose Python, you can choose, let's say, COBOL, right? COBOL. Then it's going to analyze it perfectly for us. It's going to give us some very nice plot. We're going to have a line chart which is going to show the trend of that particular language. So Python has been up all over, and then you could see that COBOL has been down, but at around this point here there was a sharp up peak, right? As you remember, you can also add multiple languages, something like JavaScript, and then it's going to also add it perfectly for us. So that is one of the features of it, the line chart. You can also do the same thing and it's very nice, giving you information as it goes up out of the box. You can also do an area chart to see how it is, right? It's an area chart, right? Very simple. You can see the stuff there, very nice. You can also check the other one for the pie chart, right, which is going to be the sum total of all the languages, not respective to what you have chosen, right, for everything. Very cool and very nice. And then you can also come down here, then you can also choose a particular programming language, and then you see the trend over the years, right, for one particular language. So if I want to get for maybe 2015 or 2016, it's going to pick for the whole span of 2015, the year, and you're going to see how it changes, right? So this is for only Python. So it was just going like this. Let's check for the one for COBOL. So I'll add COBOL to it. So COBOL. And then let's pick the year 2020. Remember that COBOL, there was a huge spike in COBOL during the time of the COVID, right? At least if you are watching from the future. So you can see that there was an app. It's trying to analyze it for us. You can see from here that at that time of the COVID, it rose up very well, right? Very cool. So that's something very simple that we're trying to build, a very simple app. So let's see how to build this wonderful app using Streamlit from scratch, right? So I'm just going to go back to my location here, right? And you can see that this app is already being hosted on share.streamlit.io, right? Very nice, right? It's already been hosted there. That is something very cool. So let's see how to do everything from scratch. So I'll just come back here. So there's going to be a recap of the app, right? I have 3 files here. So I have 3 files. I have the app.py file to make our work very fast. I already have this one already, the app.py file with some simple basic stuff. We have our data folder. We have a dictionary.lang for a simple description of the programming language. So if I go back and I do tree, you can see all of them. So we have these data sets here, which has been cleaned, and we also have some simple image and then some other ones, right? Some simple data sets. So this is going to be available for you so that you can also use it. So let's start from scratch. So I'm just going to open Sublime. So I already have it here open. So this is basics, right? So we are going to import Streamlit and then Streamlit component to help us with our HTML stuff. Then we'll be importing our EDA packages, that is pandas, and then our data visualization package using matplotlib, and then we'll be using plotly to help us with our plot. Then we'll be importing image from Pillow to help us open our image. Then I've created a simple function, right, which is going to open using image from Pillow. We are opening any particular image that is being supplied and returning them so you can display them. Very simple. Then we also have this simple stuff on simple design to make it look beautiful. So I'll just come back down here and let's take the app. So this is all that we need, right? So this is the basic stuff. So the main app here and then everything. So let's start from scratch. So this, we are using Markdown to render this particular stuff. So I'm going to open this particular app. So let's go back to my terminal. Today we know go from this very scratch, right? So this is where it is, and I'm just going to go with my Streamlit run then app.py, right? So that is also, we are using the current version of 0.68 and upwards, so we'll be using some of the features within them. So whilst it's opening, let's start writing some code. I'm going to use your default browser to open. So I'll just come back here and then we're going to create our menu. So let's bring it up. So let's bring it up a little so that I can see it well. So I'm just going to create my menu and our app so that it's opening perfectly well. So using our default browser to open, this is the original one which has been deployed, right? The final product, and this is rebuilding it from scratch. Perfect. So you see that everything is working as expected and there is no menu. So this is a plain app. So let's use Chrome. So I'll copy this one and put it inside Chrome. You can see my account details. Okay, so let's start. I just take it off. This was an app application I was exploring. Right, so this is our app, so I'll position it well. Perfect. So this is it. So this is what we have so far. Now let's create our menu. So menu, which is going to be, our menu is going to be for our home, and then I'll just go with the trends. Right, that is all. You can also add about if you want. So let's add about to it, as you always do. Perfect. Then let's create our choice, which is going to be st.sidebar.select box. And I'll pass in my menu that the person can choose from, and then menu, my menu list. So if I save it, I'm going to see that it's going to come here. So let's go with always run. So let me bring myself down. So always run, and then let's bring myself up. So let's reduce this. Okay, so it's going to always run. And we're going to see the changes. Perfect. You can see from here that it has given us this. That's giving us this particular sidebar stuff. So if I click on it, you can see the various menu. You have the home, you have the trends, and you have the about. So let's put in some features there. I'm just going to come back down here. So that if my choice is equal to home, I want you to put something there, right? Then I want you to do st.subheader in case you want to give a description. This home, right? Then next one is going to be else if my choice is equal to about, right? It's equal to not about, but it's equal to trends. Then about is going to be the default. So st.subheader trends, or programming language trend. So we can call it as programming language trend. And then the final one is going to be else to close it up. So else st.about. I said st.about. st.subheader about. Perfect. So let's check it out. Now by default it's going to send us to the about page, right? If there's nothing is chosen. So if I choose home, it's going to give us there. If I go back to the trends, it's going to give us the trends option, right? It's programming language trend. Perfect. So let's see how to work on the home. So to work on the home is going to be very simple. The home is going to just have the image, right? And then some basic stuff. So I'm just going to come back here, then I'm going to load the image there. So let's go to st.image. Then I'll use the function that I created, so load image function. Then I'll pass in my stuff, right? So I'll go back to this particular function that we had, this simple function. We are trying to load it simple. So I'll just come back to this place. You are going to the data images. Then you pick the language, which is this one, right? So let me make it bigger. So inside this place, we have the load image. Go into the data folder. Inside the data folder, go into the images. Then pick different programming language, right? So this is what you are picking. I don't know whether the audio you can hear. I hope you can hear. Apologies for that. I don't know how to do the settings for Linux. I have to learn. Okay, but on Windows it's very good anyway. So perfect. So now it's going to find this particular location and then load it for us. So if I go back and I check it now, let's go back to the home. Hopefully it's working. It's loading the image. Voila, so the image is coming, right? So perfect. So we are done with it. Now let's move on to the next side. So the next thing that we'll be trying to bring these things there. So we had this stuff. This is for the main app, but we have this one for the home. We had the expander, right? So we want to create this simple expander for these languages. This is what you're trying to do. So I just come back to the app itself, then I add the expanders there. So let's see how to do that. So with the expander we are using, because we are using Streamlit from version 0.68 and upwards, right? And up, you can be able to do this. So I'm just going to go with my column. So let's create a column. So I call that info column 1, then info column. You can just call it as column 1, column 2, anyhow you want to do. Column 1, then column 2, right? Then I'm going to say that st.beta columns, very cool feature. I'm going to specify 2. I want 2 columns. Perfect. I'm going to unpack them into column 1 and column 2. Then I'm going to say that with using the context manager with column 1. What do I want you to do? I want you to create an expander. So it's going to be my with st.beta expander. So the beta expander is also a very nice feature, like a checkbox. Then I'm going to specify what I want to do. So I want you to put Python there. So that's going to be the description, right? Then I'm going to say that from here, this is a context manager. Context, right? So I have to put semicolon, then st.write Python. So if I save it and then let's check it out, let's check our app. So now if I scroll down, if I check it out, let's open it so I can see it very well. If I scroll down here, you can see that we have it here, right? Very, very nice. I see that the Python is written there. As you can see, the Python is written here. Very nice. So that is for only column 1. So we can add another column there. So I'm just going to go back to this same side here, then add column 1 and then column 2. So before we move on to add some column 1 and column 2, what I will do is that I have this my dictionary.lang file here, which is a simple dictionary of all the descriptions there. So I'll copy this one from my code snippet, which is a dictionary of all the programming languages, some basic description. I'll come back to my app, then I'll paste it at the top of it. It's a dictionary, right? I can actually put it as a file and import it. Perfect. So that is all that I need. Something very simple, right? It's the language, and then we call the language and then the description, right? So I'll just come back to the same place that we had. Then I'll just go with my lang, the lang dictionary, and I'll pass in Python lang. So I save it and I come back and I check it again. Then I click on it, and now it has come in a very nice format. Very nice format. Very nice. So now let's move on to the next option. So I'll do the same thing for the rest. So it's the same idea. So the idea is that we are just putting under that particular column that stuff. So I'll just come back again to this place and then repeat it for the rest. So I'll just copy this one here. Or I can even add, let's add 2 so that you see. I'll put one here. This is going to be for Julia. It's going to be for R. These are for data science. So 3 by 3. So this is going to be for Julia. It is a very nice programming language, which combines the best of Python and R together, plus C with the speed of C. So Julia. Then let's go with R, the almighty R. And then this is going to be R. So if I save it and I come back to what we have done, it's like we're going to have these 3 there. Right? You can see we have Python with the description, Julia with the description, and then we have R with the description. Very nice. Now let's add it to the other side. So with the columns feature, it's very, very cool. You can do a lot of things. So I can just copy the same thing, or let's add it to it. So I'll come back down here. It's going to be for column 2. So let's make it like this. So column 2. Right, and this is for column 1. Column 1, right? Perfect. So it's going to be with column 2. What do I want you to do? I want you to put a beta expander instead of beta expander. Then what do I want you to put there? I want you to put the almighty JavaScript. Right, perfect. Then from there, st.write, from my language dictionary, I want you to put the language JavaScript. So JavaScript. Hope you are enjoying it. In case you have any question or contribution, you can just put inside the comment section below, and check the links below for some interesting materials to help you master machine learning, Python, data science, NLP, and as many as you want. Okay, so let's move on to the next one, which is going to be JavaScript. We also have Java, because Java is also useful. You can't do anything without Java. Java cannot be ignored. So lang, because of Android. And a lot of programs. So Java, lang. Then let's go for Go and then Rust, right? Because Go is very interesting and very nice because of DevOps. So Go. Then I'll go back with the st.write, the lang. So let's check it out. Go lang, right? So let's see what we have done so far. So we have 3 by 3. You can add more to it if you want. So if I check the JavaScript, our description is there. If I check the Java, our description is there. We are done for the first aspect of the app. Very, very nice. Now let's move on to the trends app, right? The trends section of it, the main bulk of the app. So I'll just come back to the same place. So what you have done so far is that we are just using the columns, st beta columns, right? We set 2 columns. Then we place these beta expanders under 1 column, and then the same thing for these ones, right? Very nice. So let's move on to the next one, which is going to be for the trend, the bulk of the app. So for the trend, we are going to create a place in which you can select stuff. So it's going to be my select box. So let's load the dataset. So you can create a function to load the dataset, but let's do it simple. So this is going to be my pd.read_csv. Then the best thing is to load the dataset using and cache them in memory, right? That is the best thing. So I'll just go into my clean, the one that I've already prepped. So this data set was gotten from Google Trends, right? So inside here, inside my data set, you have this particular one, clean with dates. So clean with dates, bad naming, .csv. Perfect. Right, so if I go with st.dataframe, you can see the entire stuff. So df.head. I save it and I come back to the trends option. And now our data set is there, right? So that all the languages have been computed perfectly well. So this one was gotten from Google Trends. So you can check it out from Google Trend. So I'll come back here. Then I'll add the basic features there. So let's select all the columns and then pick them one after the other. Because what we are trying to do is that we're trying to, if I pick a language, I want you to plot these weeks and then these values, right? So this is the number of times people search inside Google. So let me show you what I mean by Google Trends. So if you go to trends.google.com, you can be able to see some very, very insightful stuff, right? This is very useful. So it's taking some time for it to load. So that is why I got it. So you can search for a particular language. So I can search for, let's say, JavaScript or Python, right? So it's going to give me the suggestion. So JavaScript as a language. So this is how people search for it inside Google. And it's going to give you the statistics of how it is. So I copy the data from that place. Then you are building a new app, right? Taking some time for it to explore. So I can also add some stuff. So you can do a web search. You can do a YouTube search to know which is trending. So image search, news search, Google, Yahoo, YouTube, right? Then it's going to give you this plot. So we are trying to build something similar like this, right? In which you can just click on it and be seeing it. So that's the same thing we are trying to do in our app, right? Very nice. So I can also add more to it. So compare, let's say Python as a programming language. There's also going to add that particular one there. So it's going to give us this overall time, and then it's going to give us that plot. So I'll just click on this. So it's giving us something like this. Then I'll click on this to be able to download that dataset. So that is how I got the dataset. So let's move on to our app itself. Perfect. So since this is a data frame, I want to get all these columns and then move on to the rest. So I'm just going to go back to the same place. Then it's going to be like this. So all columns. It's going to be df.columns.toList. I'm committing the columns to list. Perfect. So that is all that we need, right? Then I can now select them. So let's go as my language choice. It's going to be st.select, or let's use multi-select. So multi-select. I pass in the language, so language. Then the list, all columns list. So I save it, and then let's position it side by side. From now we can do it beside it. Perfect. So you can see that now it has come, right? So I can select multiple language. So basic, which is the basic. I can also select Bash and COBOL and Ruby and the rest, right? Very nice. So that is the multi-select option. Now after selecting it, I want to only pick that particular one and plot it. So I'll pick only that particular one. It's going to be, let's create a new one. So new data frame, which is going to be my data frame, and then I'll pass in my language choices. That is all, right? Then I can now plot this one out. So let's plot this one out. So we'll be using another column. So let's call it as my column 1, and then column 2. But I prefer to give it a different name. So let's make it C1, and then C2. Right, so that we don't confuse ourselves. So C1, C2, st.beta columns. And I'm just specifying only 2 columns. You can make it 3, you can make it anyhow you want it to be. So let's make it as, we can use a column, right? But if you use a column, let's try it out. So 2, just column 2, right? Then from here I'm just going to say with C1 for column 1. What do I want to do? I want to just do the same thing we did. So with st.beta expander. So this is going to be our simple first plot. So this is going to be our line chart, right? For the trend. Then I'm going to use some packages. So Streamlit has a very nice function called st.line chart, which is used to plot data frames. I'm going to pass in my data frame. So new data frame. If I save it and let's check it out. So let's make it bigger. You can see from here that it has given us our plot. It's trying to render it perfectly for us. If I click on this, And now our plot is here. It's loading the plot out of the box. Hopefully it doesn't give us any error. Voila, right? So it is working perfectly well. So we have it on one side, our train. So I can select another language like Python. So let's select like another language like Python. Right, so Python. Then it's also going to put it beside it like this. So we have these things there. So you see that Python and then the rest are available here, right? Very nice. So it's better I position it close so that at least we see that wall, or I just take it out. So let's add it to it. So I'm just going to come back to the same place here and then make it like this. So we have 2 or 3 by 1, right? So it looks bigger a little. So now it's going to be better than the previous one. So perfect. So that this is better. Then on the other side, I'll put maybe some simple stuff of the details of whatever the person has selected, right? So let's make it like this. So this is going to be with C2 for column 2. I want to do another beta expander, st.beta expander. Then I'm going to call it as, let's give it something like stats, right? For that particular year. Then I'm going to compute the number of columns for that thing selected. So how do we do that? So it's going to be something like this. So I'll call it as, let's put something there. So let's call it as st.write. Let's just write in there my new data frame that the person has formed. Then let's use describe, right? Just to give the basic stats of it. .t. Let's transpose it. If I save it and I come back to the stats, so that stats is going to be on the other side. So it's going to put it here perfectly for us. Right, perfect. So it's going to put it here for us. So if I add another language, so let's add say R to it. So it's going to put that particular, it's going to add that one to under my R, so that it is there perfectly. And then you can also check for there. It's going to add it to it, right? Very, very cool, right? Wow, we are doing something very nice. Now let's move on to, we are done with the line chart. So let's move on to another one, which is going to be the area chart. So I just come back to my app here. So we have gotten one for the first one. So I'll just go back to another one here. So let's put it under this, right? Which is not going to be, and you can also put another beta column for that, right? In case you want to do that, or you can even put that one also under this. But let's put it there. It's going to be with st.beta expander. Let's call that one as my area chart, right? Then the same thing we did above. So there is also a very nice feature for the plot called st.area chart. And I'll pass in my new data frame, right? The same thing above is going to be done for us. If I go back and I check it out, so we have our area, our line chart, which is this one. Very nice. Right, you see that it's working there perfectly well. So the line chart is working, and then the area chart is also working. This is the line chart. You can even save it. Then for the area chart too, if I click on this, it's also showing, right? But because I don't want to put another thing there, I can just even take out the area chart from that place and put it as a full layout. So let's take it out. So I can just uncomment this one out. So I can just take this one out from here, right? So that we just have 2 for the columns, and then outside the entire column. So there's outside columns. I'll paste in this, right? So if I go with this, now this is totally outside, so that it looks nicer and better. So this is totally out, right, from the first column. So you have seen you have 2 layout, one here, then also under this you have the area chart, right? Very nice and very cool. That's something very simple. Now let's move on to a pie chart. So trying to add a pie chart to it, then move on to the next one. So I can also add a pie chart under it here. So we'll be using Plotly to help us with the pie chart. So let's use a different data set. So it's going to be with st.beta expander. Then let's go to as pie chart. Perfect. Then from here, I'm just going to use a sum data frame. Like this is going to be a data frame of all the sums, right? Put together. Then pd.read underscores csv. And I'll go into my data folder. Then I'm going to pick this particular data set. We are picking the language sum number, right? My naming is bad, but I name it to describe the data.csv. Perfect. So now let's print it out. So it's going to be st.dataframe, passing my sum df.head. If I save it, and then let's check it out. So you can actually put this one by default, right, off. So if I go back to the pie chart now, so we have it there, right? Perfect. So we're trying to plot them more. So we're using Plotly to help us with that particular kind of pie chart. So this is how it is done. So that's why we imported Plotly from here. So we imported Plotly express as PS, right? And we're trying to use it to help us plot, and then Matplotlib to help us with our plot. In case you also want to use Matplotlib to do the pie chart. So I'll just come back here. Then the new plotting is that it must put everything inside a figure variable. Then I'll just go with my ps.py, right? This is from Plotly. I'll put in my data frame, and I'll give it the parameters or the particular columns I want to plot and show as my pie chart. So I'm picking the values. So my values is going to be the sum, right? The sum column, and then the next one is going to be the names I'm picking on. The names is going to be the names column. So the name is going to be the language column. Then I can also give a title. So let's give a title. So let's call it as, let's say, total language, right? Searches. If I save it, perfect. So if I go back to what I'm doing now, so if I check this one here, so this is what we're doing. So we are picking this language to be our title, right? To be the name for the chart, and this one is going to be compute in a percentage for the pie chart. Perfect. So to be able to plot it, it's very simple. You just come back here, right? And now because I've stored it inside a figure, that is how nowadays we plot it. You store inside a variable called figure, then I can just use st.plotly, right? This is another feature from Streamlit to be able to help us plot, right? So Plotly, and that's called chart, and I'm passing my figure. That is all we need. So if I save it, this simple lines of code is going to generate a very, very nice plot for us. So it's running it and analyzing it. So I spelled it wrong. Plotly charts. Okay, so that is going to be plotly.charts, right? Right. So it's plotly.charts. Perfect. So if I go back here, you can see that now it is working perfectly well. The error is gone, right? It's going to give us a very nice plot. So it is generating it perfectly well. 1, 2, 3. You can see that it's working, right? Perfect. So you see that our plot is done, right? So I click on it, you get the title or the language, the name of that particular chart, particular pie there, right? And then a total, right? Very, very nice. So let's move on to the other side. So we are done with most part of the app. We are done with these features. So let's move on to the other side. So I'll just take off this one because this is not user friendly. It's not good for the user to see, so I'll comment it out. So we are done with it. Now let's add some other stuff to it. So we're adding another one in which you can select by the age. So I can also put it somewhere else, but let's put it here. So that is something very simple, right? So let's put it here. So I can add another one. So let's call this one for the year, in which you can select by the year, right? Because based on these things that we had from Google Trend, you see that these ones, there's an option for you to choose by the year, right? So you are doing something very similar, right? We can't do for the hour. I did not download that Dataset, so I just come back here. Then for the year, the same thing that we did. So it's going to be my language choice that we had. We can just go with the same method. We already have it already, so we just move on to my year interval. Or let's add it again. Let's repeat it. Repeating it is not going to spoil anything. So language choices 2, right? Then choices by year, right? And I'm going to go with my st.multi select. Apologies for the noise. Multi select. Then I'm passing the same thing there. So this is going to be language. Then my all columns, right? Perfect. Then I'm just going to say the year interval that I want to get for, which is also going to be my st.select box. I'm passing my year. So this is going to be in the format of a number. So I can list those years there. So let's make it like this. So I'm going to put in the year there. So 20. You can make it as a number input in case you want, right? But you can make it as a number input instead of making it as a year. You can make it like a number input, but I prefer for it to be like a drop down because that would be simple. So it's going to be this. So 2015, then the rest. So I've pasted the years there. So if I save it and I come back here and I check it out, this is a list. This is from Google. These are own. So I check it out. It has come. It's giving us an error. with the same generator key, so you can just put in a key there, right? You can make it like blank, right? You can just change it, it's still going to work. Perfect. See that now it's working. So just here I can just select the language, and then you can see that you can have the option of selecting the year, right? Very nice. Okay, so let's make it in this way. Can we also use multi-select? It's better. Let's try and see whether I can be able to see if you can use multi-select for the year too. But let's pick only one year, one year at a time, right? So I just come back here. I'm going to say if my year interval. So let's add some year to it, right? So because of the music behind, I'll be fast a little, so apologies for that. So just come back here. Go with all, right? Which is going to be another option, so that the person can get everything as all. So if the year is equal to, the interval is equal to all, you bring everything out. I noticed that the audio was off, right, because of the noise behind. That's why I put it off. I intentionally did that. So what they're trying to do is that you're trying to use all. We have added all to it. That is going to bring everything out. Then if it is not all, you pick the one for only that year. So to be able to make it work, we have to just go back to our file, the one that we read earlier on here, which is this one here, right? And then pass in our date. So go to pass in our date column, convert the date column, the week column into date time, right, object. So I'll pick that one out. Date going to be week, it was capital week. Perfect. Then I'm going to set the index of the column to that particular one I want, which is also going to be the same thing for the week, right? So that is all. So this is going to make it better. So if I go back here and I check it out, so let's make it this way. So I'll copy this one here, copy this entire stuff we have. Apologies for it being slow. So I'm copying that one out, and I'll add it to the next one. So this is going to be on its own. So this is going to go off, right? And I'll bring it down here, but it's going to be another data frame of itself. So we can give it as, let's say, df2, and then we change this one to 2, and we change this one to 2, right? Okay, so let's check it out. So in order for us to check it out, you also have to create another one for the column. So let's add another column, say all columns again. So let's go to all columns for df2, right? Then I'm going to do the same thing that we did. So df2.columns .to list. I'm going to make it like all columns for df2. So df. So we are picking that particular one, that particular column. Then we're going to work on it. Perfect. So let's check it out. Hopefully it's going to give us an error, but we will fix it. So you can see from here that it's giving us an error, right? A key error. So the reason it's giving us an error that we must at least select a language. So if I select, let's say, Bash, that error is going to go, right? That error is no more going to be there. So it's giving us an error at the top here. So you cannot choose this one. You will fix this one later. So as you saw, that error was coming because we were not having that option, right? And that's why this is also having the same thing. So I can just come back to the same place here. You're going to just fix the error. Then for the multi-select, you can give a default, right? So as I was saying, to fix that error, just have to give it a default. So I'll just specify a default here. So let's make it like this. default. Let's use bash as our default, right? So that error is gone, right? But our last error is also still there, so we have to also specify a default there. So I'll specify also a default. So let's give the default as Python for the language, right? So it doesn't give us that error. So that error is going to go. The error that we had here, right? This particular key value error. So that is the thing about, in case you are working with multi-select and you're having errors, you just put a default value, right? So that is, it's working perfectly well. So we have finished building our app. So I can select, let's say all. If I select all, it's going to give us, use all of them and generate something very simple for us. Taking some time for it to run. So in case you have any question or contribution, you can just put inside the comment section below. So that this is only for Python, right? So that means I can also select for, say, bash or basic for all the years, right? Objective C. There's even NIM. NIM is also a very nice programming language from Nimrod. There's NIM, there is Rust, right? So it's bringing them all together, and then I can zoom, get that, what's the name, widget or interactive stuff on it, right? Very, very nice and very cool. So that is something very simple. You have seen how to build this wonderful app from scratch, right? So the basic idea is that we just imported our main packages and then we work on it as we wanted to do. We just imported our main packages here, right? Our Streamlit packages, our pandas and matplotlib and plotly. We created a function to load our image. Simple basic stuff that we have been doing always if you have been watching the video. Then we created 2 columns and then we place our description there using the beta expander and then the beta columns. Then we use pandas to load our data set. We use plotly and then Streamlit to be able to plot our plot. So thank you for watching this long tutorial. In case you have any question or contribution, you can just put it in the comment section below. In the next session, we'll be trying to see how to deploy them, right? Or in a video before, if you are watching from the future, this is the app that was being deployed. So thank you for watching. See you another time. Stay blessed. Bye.